Now there are a number of tools that you're going to use to administer Active Directory, and I want to show you just a couple of those, and these kind of go without saying, but if you click Start and go to Administrative Tools, you're going to see most of them. Now there's Active Directory Domains and Trust for when you need to work with your domains, your various trusts. If we need to manage the domain, we can right click, choose Manage, and we can go in and start to see some things. That actually takes us to the same place as users and computers, but if we have trust, we can set things up and so forth. And thus we can go to Properties. Here's our trust, and we can add a new trust here if we would like. We can manage our domains and trusts there. Then, of course, we have sites and services, but with sites and services we can add subnets and new sites, and we can set transports or connections for those sites, our NTDS settings. And if you remember, if we went to Properties there, that's where we could set a global catalog server. Just all kind of really cool things you can do here. So that's our sites and services. It's going to be rare that you go out there unless that's specifically you're in the networking side of it. Of course, users and computers we've been into a lot. ADSI Edit we haven't been into really in the course, and you'll probably see it later on, although I'm not sure we'll make it that far. But with this, notice I can look at my sales global group right here, and I can go to Properties, and you can see all the attributes of that. And so this lets you look into Active Directory in a pretty deep way. And you can do a lot of things out here. You can create new objects, and notice you can select your classes. This gets to be pretty deep here, but ADSI Edit, when you need to do some serious work in Active Directory on your objects and attributes, that's the place to go. Now what I want to show you here is a little bit of a, not really a trick, but I want to show you there's one called Schema Management, that it's a DLL that you can't use until you load the DLL. Well, this one is an example, and this account info DLL is one that you can get. Let me talk about what it does, and we'll come back and install it and use it. If I go into Active Directory Tools, Users and Computers, if I click on Start, Administrative Tools, then go to Active Directory Users and Computers. If I right click on an account like Frank Jones, and I go to Properties, you see all these tabs. Now there is an awful lot of information, and keep in mind this city, that's an attribute on a user object, and in this instance this would be an attribute on the object Frank Jones, and I can put a city in there. Well, as you can tell, there are quite a few attributes on the user object, but there's another really cool thing that we can do, and I'm going to close this. Then I'll go grab this account info DLL. Now what we have to do is register that DL on our server. And what we have to do is we can come to Run and type reg server, and that's where I uninstalled it from testing it. Reg server 32, and then just point to it. But with the little tool that I'm going to give you, you can just double click on the install on that and run it. And notice that just installed, that just registered that DLL on the server. And so now when I go into Administrative Tools and go to Active Directory Users and Computers and go take a look at Frank Jones, right click, go to Properties, you'll notice there's a new tab, Additional Account Info. And when I click that, there's some really cool stuff here. When the password was set last, when it expires, the user account control, and if I click on that I can see normal account. Here's the SID of this particular user, security identifier, the global unique identifier, the last log on, the last log off, the last bad log on, the bad password count, all kind of stuff. So you can see some pretty cool stuff here. Just kind of a gee whiz thing that you might find this interesting, but it adds another tab, and you'll see these all over the place. Now this account info DLL is actually part of Resource Kit. But I've downloaded this thing, and it's in the work files for you. And so you can just copy that onto your server, double-click the install, and you should be good to go. Now, it'll probably be in a WinZip format. Let me get this back up here for you. If you go into an account DLL, you will probably see this thing in a WinZip. And just unzip that thing, and then you'll have all those files. So anyway, play with that, and then you can look around for some other DLLs out there, and you'll see them all the time if you read any of the networking magazines and so forth. So anyway, that's some of the administrative tools. Just play with them and get used to them, but do some hands-on with each one of them before you go take this exam.